Hennythemoor over here at HTM Sports. How's everybody doing this evening, man? So, man, hey, it's the off season. The time frame opened up for folks to get tagged, cuts. There've been a couple moves that been made, man. Like the time frame to get tagged. That started yesterday. They have a 2 week period for folks to receive the franchise tag. So that's going on. There are players getting cut. Players getting waived, things like that. So I'm gonna fill y'all in on some of the things going around the league. The Cowboys have made some coaching staff moves. There's news about Dalton Schultz. So there's different things to unpack and jump into, man. So before we get started, man, I need everybody to go to the page. It's HTM Sports on YouTube. I need you to go ahead and like, share, subscribe to content. All right, we're up here trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're about halfway there. We're right around 500 folks. So go ahead, man, and hit the subscribe button, share, like. All the love and support will be greatly appreciated, man. We're trying to build something big for the future. Hey, Darren Sutton, what's up with you, man? Regina Green, I appreciate y'all for tapping in with me. So yeah, man. So really, I'm going to start. It's going to pretty much be in order that you see the title in, man. We're going to talk about Schultz not getting tagged, the new coaches, that they elevated on the team, some off-season stuff. So just to start, there was a report going out. Nelly Rogers, what's up with you, man? So yeah, there is a report going out right now that Dalton Schultz will not receive the franchise tag from the Dallas Cowboys. That's going to be a no-go. Dalton Schultz is either going to get a long-term deal with the Cowboys or he's going to hit the open market, as a full, unrestricted free agent. He is not getting tagged. And honestly, when you look at the numbers on the tags for the tight ends, it makes sense for the Cowboys not to tag him. I think the Cowboys should retain him, but Dalton Schultz should not get franchise tag because the franchise tag for tight ends this year, if I'm not mistaken, is around $13 million, right? So that what it would cost the Dallas Cowboys, in fully guaranteed money for a 1 year deal to franchise tag Dalton Schultz. Now, my train of thought is that not a single player on our roster should receive a franchise tag. It is much more economically sound, and cap sound to go ahead and just tag these. Instead of tagging these guys, sign them to long-term deals. If you sign a player to a long-term deal, you can manipulate the cap space however you want to manipulate the cap space, right? They could sign, let's say, even though the contract, let's say we give him a $13 million a year contract, right? Let's say he signs for three years, $39 million. Each year of that contract is not going to be $13 million, right? Because you got to include the signing bonus. They're going to get some money up front. So, it could be a $39 million a year deal, but he might only be making $5 million, against the cap the first year of the deal, right? So it's much easier to manipulate a long-term contract, than it is a franchise tag. A player signs a franchise tag to get that $13 million up front. Rain, sleet, snow, it doesn't matter. Because remember, when Dak Prescott got injured in 2020, he was on a franchise tag. And even though he only played 5 games on the franchise tag, he still got that full guaranteed $30+ million. That full guaranteed plus $30 million that he signed. He really only played 5 games to get it, right? So regardless if a player plays up to the franchise tag, regardless if they get hurt, that money that they're playing on their franchise tag is fully guaranteed regardless of what happens. So I understand. Hey, what's up with you, Sadiq, with Charles? I appreciate you. I'm doing good this fine evening, man. I'm doing good. So yeah, I understand them not wanting to franchise tag Dalton Schultz. What I do not understand is if they let him hit the open market, right? Because I know there are people that believe in Ferguson. There are people that believe in Peyton Hendershot. And as you should, I do get why people look at their potential and they see a bright future ahead of them. I understand they have potential. I see the athleticism. I see the explosiveness from these guys. I see that they have pretty sure hands, right? He said he lost his wrench. Don't even worry about it. I'm finna add it back on there for you. It'll be a standard moderator. Boom, you back in the wrench game. I don't know what. I had to clear out some stuff, man. I had like a bot on here. That really was the reason why a couple of my streams had ended early. So I had to clear everything out, see what was going on with my stuff. But it should be good now. Hey, Brian Kite, what's up with you, man? I appreciate it. Appreciate the love. So yeah, so I see the potential in Peyton Hendershot, and I do see the potential in Ferguson. But when you talk about pure production, right? He has that. He has pure production. Dalton Schultz is one of the most productive tight ends in the National Football League. And people say he's not this. Hey, C. Burleson, what's up with you? Jazzy Jeff, what's up with you? I appreciate you for tapping in with me. So yeah, so I do get that people say he's not Kittle, he's not Kelsey, he's not Andrews, this, that, and the fourth. Okay, that's cool. But when you're talking about Dalton Schultz, let's put things into perspective. He does not have to be those guys because those guys are not available. Those guys are on contract with their team right now, and whoever they signed to is who had their services. Dalton Schultz is the next best thing because in free agency right now, Dalton Schultz is the best available tight end. Right? He is the best tight end that's on the open market. And when you look at his numbers over the past 2 seasons, right? When you look at his production over the past 2 seasons, like he has proven himself to be one of the better tight ends in the National Football League. And I have the numbers. That's my thing. I'm the numbers man, right? So let me get that pulled up for you. So over the last 2 seasons, Dalton Schultz among tight ends. I ain't talking about the whole football league, whatever, but among his position group, which is all that matters, right? Dalton Schultz is fifth in touchdowns. He's sixth in receiving yards, and he's fourth in receptions among tight ends in the last 2 seasons, right? So the only guys that are doing better in production wise, than Dalton Schultz are those big name tight ends that y'all be bringing up. The only guys that are doing better than Dalton Schultz in the league are Kelsey, Kittle, Andrews, right? Because even if you look at other guys like Goddard and Ertz, he's outperformed both those guys the past 2 seasons, right? All these other big name tight ends, and even guys that Njoku, he definitely outperformed him, and he's making way more money than Dalton Schultz is. So I understand some people, you know, don't put him on that same tier as those other guys, and you shouldn't, right? Those guys are better. But what we do not have is another option that is a free agent that can come in that is currently better than Dalton Schultz, right? Because honestly, like the only thing you could argue is that Ferguson and Hendershot together can give you similar production. But there is not one singular tight end, right? There's not one singular tight end that is available that is going to come in and give you the production that Dalton Schultz is giving you right now. Because remember, like he's top six in every category that actually matters: touchdowns, yards, and receptions. Like he's topping all that. Again, for the folks that were slow getting into here, since over the last 2 seasons, he's fifth in touchdowns, sixth in yards, and fourth in receptions among all tight ends. So unless you have one of those juggernaut tight ends that we're talking about, like Kittle or Kelsey, like this is the best production you are going to get. And I just want people to have that in mind before we talk about moving off of him. I believe they say they're not going to franchise tag him, so we don't sign him. He gone. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we're talking about. I'm okay with them not giving him the franchise tag for cap purposes, right? I understand not tagging anybody. I don't even want to tag Tony Pollard. Just give these guys contracts, because you can manipulate the cap way better on a long-term deal. right? You can give them a big ass signing bonus, minimize the cap hit for the first couple of years, and then if they've been playing good, you can just extend them and lower the cap hit again. It's an endless cycle. All you got to do all you got to do is keep kicking the can further and further down the road, right? So and I get it. There's a section of the fan base that do not like Dalton Schultz, and it might be a personal thing. I know a bunch of guys on social media that have been blocked by the man. Hey, what's up with you, Mac? Hey, that's my brother that done tapped in with me, man. That's my boy Mac City, man. I appreciate you for tapping in and watching the show, brother. So yeah, man. So there's a section of the fan base that don't really care about Dalton Schultz, man. But man, like take your personal feelings out of it. He does not have to be the best tight end in football. He is the best option for the Dallas Cowboys. Just like Dak Prescott when he got his contract, and that's my favorite player on the team, no lie. He was not the best quarterback in the National Football League when he got his contract. I never said that Dak Prescott was the GOAT, that he was the best guy in here. But he was the Dallas Cowboys' best option, right? He was easily a top 10 quarterback. He was top 5 in wins, top in passing yards, all these other great stats. So, that's why I campaigned for the Dallas Cowboys to sign Dak Prescott, right? And when you think about everybody else on the team, they're not going to be the best guys at their positions either. CeeDee Lamb is not the best wide receiver in the National Football League. But when he gets paid, he's going to get paid like the best wide receiver because it's his time to get paid, right? And that's the same with all positions, right? That's the same with all positions. Dak Prescott wasn't the best quarterback when he got paid, but that was the market. When it's time for CeeDee Lamb to get his money, he may not be the best wide receiver in the National Football League, but that's the market. We're going to have to pay him what his price is to keep him. And, it's the same thing with Dalton Schultz. Like, he is the best available tight end in the National Football League, right? The only other guys that, you could go out and get, you have to trade for. Waller, you would have to trade for him, right? You can argue that Waller might be better, but you have to pay for Waller. And if we're being honest, over the past 2 seasons, Dalton Schultz has produced better than Waller has, right? He has more touchdowns, more receptions, more yards. He has that over Waller over the past 2 seasons. And I do get that Waller was injured, but injury is part of the game. Dalton Schultz had a down season because of injury this year, so you can't even use that excuse. So what about Tony Pollard? He's also injured too. I would sign Tony Pollard. And this is the thing. I want Dalton Schultz and Tony Pollard back because we are out here. Hey, what's up with you, Michael Lockhart? What's good with you, man? I appreciate you tapping in. We're out here finna go into a new offensive system, right? We're finna have a whole new play caller in Mike McCarthy, and we're gonna have a new quarterbacks coach, a new running backs coach. We have all these new faces on the offense. I need to bring back some continuity from what I was doing last year, right? I need Dak Prescott to be comfortable. So yes, I want to bring back Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard was tied for most touchdowns on my team with Ezekiel Elliott. They both had 12. He led my team in rushing yards, and he led my team in explosive plays. So I got to bring him in. OG Mac 06, what's up with you, man? So yeah, I got to bring Tony Pollard back. Dalton Schultz, he led my team in first down conversions. And in the playoffs, he had the most receiving touchdowns by any player. He had 3 receiving touchdowns in the playoffs. So I'm keeping that continuity going because we already seen what happened when we took Amari Cooper off of our team. So yes, CeeDee Lamb was able to step up, but none of the other guys were able to step up and take CeeDee Lamb's spot. So yeah, so let's say that Dalton Schultz leaves, and Peyton Hendershot and Ferguson are able to combine together and pick up the slack. Well, who's taking up their production, right? Because they also had multiple touchdowns, close to 300 yards receiving, some critical first down. Who takes up their slack? If they got to combine and take up Dalton Schultz slack, next year, who is going to come in and take up their slack, right? So that's the question. So there's no guarantee that either one of them is going to come in and give us the production that Dalton Schultz has given us. Facts, Henny. fans be want to get rid of players because they don't like the production over potential. Yeah, I don't listen. I don't need my guy to be a Boy Scout. I don't need him to be. I don't listen. I'll be honest with you. I don't need him to be a good person. They could be an asshole. They could be a deuce. They could be all these other things. But as long as they are out there producing on the football field, man, if they are helping us win games, I don't care what they do. To an extent. Now they're like, oh, like they beat up their wife or this or that. They do something criminal that I understand them not being on the team. But if they're just assholes, then I can live with that, right? So I don't need my guys to be Boy Scouts. I just need them. This is kind of new. Great job, Henny. I appreciate that. Hey, how are you doing tonight, Henny? Hey, Matt, what's up with you, man? I appreciate you. So yeah, man, I don't need them to be Boy Scouts or anything. I just need them to be productive when they're on the field, right? So that's all that actually matters. And we gotta be real. We don't know these guys personally. Like there's guys that we probably think are great people that are just putting on an act because they only got to look good in front of the camera for a limited amount of time. They go and live their personal life. They could be any kind of way. So I don't really get into all that about the how they are personal. I keep it strictly football. And football wise, Dalton Schultz has really over the past 2 years he's been a top 5 tight end. What's up with you, Tabs? What's up with you, man? I appreciate you for tapping in. So yeah, man. So like we need to keep Dalton Schultz, and I know, and like I said, I'm fine with him not getting tagged. That's not the issue, but we don't need to let him walk out the building either. Like get a contract worked out with Dalton Schultz. It can be on paper. It can say anything, right? It could say 3 years, $39 million, or 3 years, $40 million, right? At an annual rate of 13 whatever million. He's not getting that much money every year because remember, Dak Prescott technically is a $40 million a year quarterback, but the last 2 seasons, Dak Prescott's cap hit was under $20 million, right? He gonna have a big cap hit this year if we don't extend him. But 2021, he made like $18 million. This year he made like $19 million. But on paper it says Dak Prescott is a $40 million a year quarterback. So you can manipulate the cap however you want to manipulate the cap. Keystone, man, that's some stuff they would do for real. Pay Dalton Schultz, give him $12 million. He's probably be happy with it. Yeah, I mean, there's a market for Dalton Schultz, but I also think like he would rather stay in Dallas. Like these guys have made a name here in Dallas. They're comfortable playing with each other. Because if Dalton Schultz leaves, it's the same thing. He'll have to learn a new quarterback. He'll have to learn a new offensive system. You know, so like there's no guarantee he'll have the job security here in Dallas that he would. There's no guarantee he will get more money somewhere else. I think that Dallas would pay him a little bit more than any other team would. But yeah, so we touched on that. So let's go ahead. Let's go down the line, man. Let's go down the line. New coaches. I'm not really happy with the coaching hires. I would have preferred Dak Prescott getting a quarterback's coach that knew what the hell he was doing. Right? We already been through on-job training with Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore was a player and converted to a quarterback coach, then became the offensive coordinator. He had no prior background in coaching at any of these positions they put him in. And it's pretty much the same thing they did with this last coaching hire. So Scott Tozing, who was a former career backup quarterback in the National Football League, is now going to be Dak Prescott's quarterback coach. He is only 35 years old. So that means he's not that much older than Dak Prescott. He had very limited coaching experience. He first became a coach in 2019 with Wisconsin. He was an analyst. He became a coaching assistant here with the Dallas Cowboys in 2020. You know, when Mike McCarthy got the job in 2020, he followed on as a coaching assistant, and he held that position the last 2 years. Now today it was announced that he's going to be the Dallas Cowboys quarterbacks coach. And I'll be honest with you, outside of his college career, he did not really do much as a player. Same thing as Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore was one of the best college quarterbacks, in NCAA history numbers wise, right? Scott Tolzien, he wasn't that, but he did have some decent college numbers. He was 21-5 as a starting quarterback for the Wisconsin Badgers. Completed 68% of his passes, threw 32 touchdowns to 18 interceptions, and had 3 rushing touchdowns for his career. In the National Football League, he only had 4 starts, completed 88 passes, completed 60% of his passes, threw for 1,065 yards, threw for 2 touchdowns, and threw 9 interceptions over the course of his career. So he was career backup. He played in the National Football League from 2011 to 2017. Played on 3 different teams: 49ers, Green Bay, Indianapolis, and of course, since he was in Green Bay, to how he had the relationship with Mike McCarthy. So nothing really to announce. He has no real coaching background. He is green. He's a new booty. There's nothing to talk about with him. My issue though is that we just tried this on-job training shit. We tried it with Kellen Moore, and while the numbers with him as offensive coordinator are good, we have 2 eyes. We have film. We have the numbers compared to when he played winning teams. Like Kellen Moore, he did not take the step needed to get us over the hump. Right? It is hard for me to okay the Dallas Cowboys bringing in a quarterbacks coach who was responsible for developing Dak Prescott, who has no background in it. He wasn't even a good quarterback himself, if we're being honest. Not to throw shade at him, like he was a D1 player. He played in the National Football League. I could not have done that. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I could have did what he did. But just like comparing what he's done to what Dak Prescott's done, though, Dak Prescott is a way better player both in college and the National League than he ever was. So how the hell do I expect Dak Prescott to learn from him? Right? How the hell do I expect Dak Prescott, to respect this man with no pedigree, with no coaching background? So unless Mike McCarthy is going to be more hands-on with Dak Prescott, unless it's really like Mike McCarthy is going to be the quarterback coach and the offensive coordinator, you know what I mean, and he just there in name, you know what I mean, and I can understand that, because Schottenheimer is the offensive coordinator in name only, because Mike McCarthy's going to be calling the plays. Maybe it's a situation where Mike McCarthy is working extensively with Dak Prescott, and Tolzien is just there to assist him in doing so. Right? So maybe he's the quarterback's coach in name only. Right? That is a possibility as well. But if it's just him being the quarterback's coach for the Dallas Cowboys, I don't agree with that. I would prefer them going back and re-signing somebody like John Kitten. I would prefer them bringing in somebody with some pedigree that knows what they're doing. But just signing Tolzien, I'm not okay with the move. I'm not okay with them signing the running backs coach either. Just to keep it real with you, because I don't believe these guys have any real background in coaching. We're out here trying to improve on a 12-5 season and win multiple playoff games. So man, that's something that doesn't sit right with me. It bothers me, honestly. I was fine with Mike McCarthy taking over the play calling duties. I was fine with them letting Kellen Moore go. I was fine with them hiring Schottenheimer. I'm not okay with this. I'm not gonna lie. Now, it could work out. like I said, they could be doing a brain trust thing where Tozine is just really assisting Mike McCarthy with the day-to-day activity, but Mike McCarthy is going to be the main guy working with Dak Prescott. Joshua Fisher, what's up with you, man? It could be a scenario like that. But as it stands right now, it's another on-job training situation, and I don't see where we benefit from that. Like, we don't benefit from that at all. And Dak Prescott definitely does not benefit from that. Right? We're up here trying to get Dak Prescott. The Dak Prescott has been a top 10 quarterback for a long time at this point, right? Like 2016, he was rookie of the year, won 13 games, was a Pro Bowler, all that stuff. 2018, made another Pro Bowl, won a playoff game. 2019 to now, he had all the gaudy numbers. So like that Prescott, has consistently been a top 10 quarterback for a long time. We need to be trying to see if we can get Dak Prescott from like the 6 to 10 range into the 4 to 5 range. We should be trying to see if Dak Prescott can take another step in his development. And I don't see how hiring a new booty coach, you know, who ain't ever did nothing in the National Football League as a player, to come in and try and teach Dak Prescott something. Now, I trust Mike McCarthy with that because I trust Mike McCarthy's background as a guy that helped in the development of Joe Montana. I trust his background as a guy that helped in the development of Aaron Rodgers, a guy who Brett Favre saw some of his better seasons under. I trust that. I trust that aspect. But I don't trust Tozine. So again, if Tozine is just doing this alone, this a hell no for me. If Mike McCarthy, is really the guy that's going to be with Dak Prescott day to day, going through the offense, I'm fine with it. But I don't trust, another on job training type of situation. It didn't work out with Kellen Moore. I don't see it working out, here again. So we touched that briefly. Let's speed along to this other off season talk, right? So I did see, that nobody got franchise tagged. We expected Tony Pollard to get franchise tagged. It has not happened yet. Nobody around the league, if I'm not mistaken, has used their franchise tag. Right? But I did see some folks came in today with a job and they ended the day without a job. Namely folks that play for the Tennessee Titans. And this is something that I expected well, not just me. A lot of people around the league expected the Titans to go into rebuild mode. There's going to be a new regime. They want to start over fresh. So what they did is they released Robert Woods, the former wide receiver from the Los Angeles Rams. They released Taylor Lewin, who was a former Pro Bowl left tackle, and they also released their kicker, Randy Bullock. And I'm going to be honest with you. The Dallas Cowboys should be interested in the kicker because there's no way in hell that they already said they're moving on from Brett Maher. They have no choice. They should look into the kicker, and they should look into the left tackle. Reason being, we know damn well that we need a kicker. We saw what happened, with Brett Maher in the playoffs. Like, he really cost us. He really was on the verge of costing us a game. And then we're being honest, like, if he made that extra point, and we would have went up 7 to, if we had went up 7-3 instead of 6-3, that game actually has a different dynamic. Because even when Dak Prescott throws the second interception, it still would have been a Dallas Cowboy lead. It would have been 7-6, and the game probably plays out differently. So like, I don't have a time machine or a crystal ball, but like little things like that, leaving points on the field affects play calling and affects the outcomes of games. So just by him missing that one extra point in the playoffs, regardless of how Dak Prescott played. It also like that changed the dynamic of the game. Right when we went back down there and scored other points, like we would still have the lead instead of it being, you know, like I said, it was 6-6 at one point. It would have been 7-6. It was 9-9 at one point. It would have been 10-9. We would have had the lead still. Game would have played out differently. Play calling would have probably played out differently. So with things like that, you gotta factor that in. So we need improvement at the kicker position. Randy Bullock, let me pull that up. I like Woods, lost a step, a good depth piece, great route runner. Lewin I hear has injuries similar to Tyron and frequency, may not be worth it. Former great. Yeah, he has an injury history. But what I will give him the benefit of the doubt of that he had an injury history in Tennessee. He has not had an injury history with the Dallas Cowboys yet. And the reason I say that is because we always pick up guys with injury history and we always keep them healthy. Remember, Malik Hooker was a guy that was going to be out the league because he couldn't stay healthy. Was a former first round pick. And he couldn't stay healthy, with the Colts. I think he barely missed any time with the damn Dallas Cowboys these last 2 seasons. Right? When I talk about our medical staff and how they're one of the best in the National Football League, I'm not using like hyperbole. I'm not using hyperbole in that instance. Cause them guys they did they kept Randall Cobb healthy. They kept Malik Hooker healthy. They've done a lot of great things, in terms of keeping players with pronounced injury histories healthy and playing for us. Hoodlum, what's up with you, man? I appreciate you tapping in with me. Miss Charles and Matt, I see y'all and well. Okay, cool. So yeah, like I would bring them in because if we were willing to let Jason Peters at his advanced age with his injury history play, I would go out and get Lewin. I don't. I'm talking about signing him along when he doesn't ask for the kind of money that he was just playing for, right? He just came off of playing on a 5-year, $80 million deal. Like he done made his money. So, but if he wants to come over to the Dallas Cowboys and add some depth to us, I'm down with it. Because Tyron Smith has played only 17 games in the last 3 seasons. Like I still want Tyron, but I can't trust Tyron Smith to stay healthy at all. And he's a guy that's had the benefit of our medical staff, and he can't stay healthy. So like I don't know what to say to that. Because Tyron Smith can't stay healthy, and he's already here with the best medical staff. Lewin, at least I can give him the benefit of the doubt right now, right? So yeah, I'm definitely in on Lewin. I'm definitely in on Randy Bullock. I damn near would say like Ken folks said, I think like Bullock might be a priority with the way the playoffs went. Dallas needs gangsters on the team. Oh yeah, we don't need choir boys. We don't need choir boys. Like we need some players with attitude. We need players that got that dog in them, man. And don't get me wrong, Dallas do got some dogs, man. Michael Parsons is a dog. Diggs is a dog. Like hell, like Dak Prescott. If you're being honest, the way he run through safeties and used to run through linebackers when he was healthy, that boy a dog. But like I agree, if he takes a reasonable deal, you have to do it. Tyron needed 13 weeks after camp to be ready to play 5 games. Love him, but time to try something new. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I would keep him. I would still keep Tyron so I can have depth. But I need a backup plan already on the team. Or if we're being honest, they didn't even let Tyron play his natural left tackle position, this year. He was playing right tackle when he came back from injury. So, if the Cowboys want to move forward with Tyler Smith as their starting left tackle, then we probably should go out and sign a guard, right? So Lewin might not even be the move, but they want to kick Tyler Smith back to the guard position. So Lewin would be a good left tackle to have there. He's very physical. He's great, in the run game. I wouldn't mind having him. He made 3 consecutive Pro Bowls from 2016 to 2018. But as you pointed out, he's a guy that has nagging, lingering injuries. So I'll just have to see. But I would trust my medical staff, to kick the tires on him, evaluate him, and see if we can get something out of him. Because remember, like we always take chances on guys with medical issues. Matter of fact, I think the damn Dallas Cowboys prefer them because they can get them cheaper, and then they can get them back playing high level football most of the time. Like really, when we have taken chances on guys with injury histories, we have not really missed out. Like you can't name the last time we had a guy with an injury history, and they weren't at least productive for us, right? We took a risk on Damone Clark after coming out for back surgery. And he started games. He looked good. Matter of fact, he looked so good. I don't think the Dallas Cowboys are going to re-sign Anthony Barr, right? Because you got him in the 5th round. He's been productive, right? The coaching staff likes him, and he actually will have a chance to have a full off season of working out and trying to improve. Oh, Washington. I think Washington is the only guy. Like I didn't even think about James Washington because he only played a game. So, yeah, I guess you could say James Washington. But me and West Coast were saying the boy wasn't any good before we signed him. But just to be honest, I don't even count Washington. Like, we knew he wasn't shit before we signed him. Excuse my language. Well, yeah, we knew Washington wasn't worth a quarter. But, yeah, so, Damone Clark, we hit on him. Leighton Vander Esch. He had a neck injury coming out of college. He was an All Pro. He had a good season this year. We got production out of him. Say what you want about my boy Jalen Smith, but he was a Pro Bowl linebacker, and he is still to this day a starting linebacker in the National Football League. He just don't start for us, so you can't say that we missed because he was very productive for us when he was here. Right, I know he rubbed a portion of the fan base the wrong way for whatever reason, but to this day, that man is still a starting linebacker in the National Football League. Now your opinion on his play can vary, but we got a starting linebacker, out of the deal. We got a Pro Bowl selection out of the deal. We got what we wanted out of him, right? All right, shoot me a question then, Brian. You said you got a bunch of questions for me. Shoot me one, kinfolk. I'll answer one. I'll answer a question for you. Then who else had an injury history? Malik Hooker, right? Malik Hooker was a guy that couldn't stay healthy at his former team. We kept him healthy. Randall Cobb couldn't stay healthy. Came to Dallas, had a resurgent year, left, got a contract, and then started getting injured again. But you know what? When he was in Dallas, he did not have an injury problem. Matter of fact, he said the Dallas Cowboys medical staff told him some stuff about his body he never knew. He said he never knew that he had weak hips. And that's the reason why he kept having lower leg injuries. Like, you go find the clip of him. Dante Fowler, there you go. Injury history. Was very important in our rotation as a pass rusher. Very important in our rotation as a pass rusher. Let's see. Who else had an injury history? Jonathan Hankins. Very productive. Very productive for us. And really instantly improved our run defense when he got here. So, yeah, I don't have an issue with the Dallas Cowboys getting guys with injury histories because they have a very good track record of that stuff panning out. Now, when we start taking chances on guys with injury histories and we keep missing, that's when I'm going to say, hold the hell up. We got to do something different. But until they start missing, right, it's like somebody that be jacking threes, when you're playing pickup. Like, as long as he hitting these threes, I don't care if they bad shots or not. As long as he hitting the shots, nobody gonna say nothing. But he pulling up from half court and he airballing, and everybody gonna look at him crazy. So it's the same thing with the Dallas Cowboys taking their chances on these injured guys. As long as they keep hitting and these guys that they draft to have the injury history keep producing, like we all should feel fine with them to keep doing it, right? You keep doing something as long as it works for you. That's my train of thought. So I saw in the comment box though that some folks had some questions. So this should be like the Q&A portion of this podcast, man. So what questions do y'all have about the Dallas Cowboys this offseason? Who do y'all think we should retain? Who do y'all think we should bring in? Are there any roster moves around the league, not Dallas Cowboys related, that bother you or you want to talk about? This y'all portion of the show. Y'all done turned me up. Y'all have been on here engaging, chopping it up with me for the last 40 minutes. So, I can give y'all like 20, 30 minutes of just me answering y'all questions. So go on, shoot, man. What do y'all want to talk about? What questions do y'all have for me? And we can do that this final 20, 30 minutes of this podcast. Since y'all being who your list of free agents that not Cowboys that you want. Should we draft a running back early? Wide receiver, defensive tackle. Okay, so I'll answer all those questions for you. And I'm glad that you actually said that, Tyrone Church. One of the free agents I want is probably going to get the franchise tag. It was reported today that the Ron Payne, the monster defensive tackle for the Washington Commanders, is probably going to get franchise tag by the team to prevent him from hitting the open market. Me and West Coast talked about it. Me and Landlord talked about it. He would be a great addition to the team. He is also a guy that can give you something in the passing game because he does have the ability to get sacks. He had 11 and a half this season. He is a damn good run stopper. And he's a good run stopper. We have not been able to run against the Washington Commanders in years. So, that's a guy that would have did great on our roster, but he's probably not going to become available. I'm also high on DJ Sharp. He's a guy that fits the mold of what the Dallas Cowboys want to do. He's cheap, but he's young, and he has all the athleticism and measurables. He's 6'4", runs a 4.3, and he's a former Pro Bowl wide receiver. And we just talked about injury history. He's a guy with an extensive injury history that the Dallas Cowboys love to take chances on. Like, it's almost a guarantee, like a guy like DJ Chark is going to find his way to Dallas. He's played in the West Coast system before. He knows how to play in that system. That's the system that we're going to be switching over to with Mike McCarthy as the play caller. So he checks all the boxes. So that's a guy that a lot of people may not know about or not familiar with, but he will make a great addition to the Dallas Cowboys, and it's a realistic option for the Dallas Cowboys, if we're being honest. I could go out here and name guys I know that we're not going to get, right? But for a guy that fits the mold what the Dallas Cowboys want to do, like he's it. Like he's it. Also, you said should we draft a running back early? That is going to depend on what the Dallas Cowboys do in free agency. I never skip free agency before, when we talk about the draft. Because if the Dallas Cowboys go out, let's say the Dallas Cowboys go out and do something that surprises the entire world. Let's say they cut Zeke, they elect him to be a post-June the 2nd cut, they don't re-sign Tony Pollard, and they do something that nobody expects, and they sign somebody like Josh Jacobs. Right? Let's say they do something crazy and they don't keep Zeke or Tony Pollard, and they sign Josh Jacobs, or they sign Saquon Barkley, and then they just run with one of those guys and Malik Davis. There's no way in hell, after spending that kind of money, the Dallas Cowboys would go out and get a running back, right? Or if they give Tony Pollard a very hefty contract to keep him, and then they retain Ezekiel Elliott with a restructure, they're still not going to go out and draft a running back high. Right? I don't think they're gonna do that either, Michael Lockhart. But just use it as a comparison. So if they go out and make them and do anything with giving a running back that we already have money, let's say they re-sign Tony Pollard. You know, that's the most reasonable thing. That's the most likely thing that they give Tony Pollard a contract. They're not then going to go out and get a high value running back in the first round, probably not even the second round. But, you know, running back is so deep this draft, I could realistically see them taking a running back in the third round. Third round and still get a guy with starting caliber skills. Right? So like there's a bunch of good running backs in this draft. A bunch of them. So, you know, I don't think they'll go out and use a first round pick. But, you know, I do think that they'll go out. Hey, do me a favor. Turn off that oven. I probably done cook the hell out them wings, but hell, it's going to be all right. But, yeah, so, like, I don't think the Cowboys are going to use a premier pick on the first on a running back. I know it sounds good to say, like, man, they can get Bijan Robinson or they can get that boy Gibbs. But let's be realistic. After Ezekiel Elliott, it's going to be hard pressed for me to see the Dallas Cowboys using a first round pick on a running back, right? Because if they come out there, maybe Dallas will draft another fourth round joke at quarterback. Well, Eastside Harold, I want to know if my quarterback is top 10 in NFL history in completion percentage, passer rating, and touchdown to interception ratio, is he really a joke? If he's a quarterback that's top 5 in wins since entering the league, is he a joke? The man is second in franchise history in passing touchdowns. So, no, he's not a joke. He may not be your favorite quarterback, and he may not be the best quarterback in the league, but he's far from a joke. It's a joke to have that train of thought about a player. Because what I find about Cowboys fans is they only watch Cowboys games for the most part, right? They watch 17 games of Dak Prescott. They watch 17 games of Dalton Schultz. And they see the good, the bad, and the ugly of those players. What they do not do is that they don't watch 17 games of if you throw 17 interceptions, you're a joke. So Matthew Stafford is a joke, right? He threw 17 interceptions last year. Tony Romo threw 19 interceptions in a season 2 times before, right? So he's a joke. Peyton Manning has thrown. Matter of fact, Peyton Manning had a season where he threw over 20 interceptions. Brett Favre threw over 20 interceptions, right? So like that doesn't actually equate to shit. Just to be frank with you, Eastside Herald. Like it's easy to count interceptions, you know, in the one season that a quarterback has an interception problem. Like, why won't y'all talk about interceptions in 2021 when he was 37 touchdowns to 10 interceptions? Why won't y'all talking about interceptions in 2016? Right, when he only threw 4. I mean, Eastside Harold, you a Texans fan? Oh yeah, nah, you don't even get the chance to talk to me. Like, nah, you fine, Kinfo. You're just stressed. Your team has been bad since they've been existing, so I understand. It's fine. I like Eastside Harold, man. Like he's a big enough football fan to come in and watch other teams' football content. Like that's a real football fan. So Eastside Harold is good in my book, man. He's good in my book. He's good in my book. But hey, Eastside Harold, since you are a Texans fan, would you take Dak Prescott? Would you want Dak Prescott on your team as a Texans fan? Let me know. Let me know. I watched the NFL where 17 interceptions. I mean, did I just not mention that Matthew Stafford threw 17 interceptions and won the Super Bowl? And he only threw 15 interceptions with counting the regular season. Well, he be in other Cowboys chats talking trash. I mean, he had no other choice. His football team is horrible. He said for a third rounder, I would take him. Okay, so you would want Dak. You want Dak Prescott. Because remember, you're talking about interceptions. Dak Prescott has one of the best touchdown to interception ratios in NFL history. He's like eighth in that regard. He has over 100 more touchdowns than interceptions. So like yeah, 17 interceptions ain't shit when it only happened one season. You know what I mean? I like D'Amico Ryans. I think y'all had a great coaching hire. D'Amico Ryans is a great defensive-minded coach. He was a great player when he played, and I think he will turn your franchise around if he gets a good quarterback, because the quarterback is everything. So with that said, yeah, you probably would want Dak Prescott, if that's the case. Because we're being honest, statistic-wise, like there are not many quarterbacks that produce better than Dak Prescott has. Since he's been in the league, there's not a lot of guys that have produced the numbers that Dak Prescott has. And I'm not on here to cape for Dak Prescott. He makes mistakes like every other quarterback makes mistakes. Right? I don't think he's Patrick Mahomes. And I don't think he's Joe Burrow. But he is a very good quarterback. He is easily a top 10 quarterback. Yeah, so you would take Dak Prescott for a third rounder. It would take much more than a third rounder to get Dak Prescott. But by saying that, you would say you say you want him, right? Yeah, all quarterbacks throw interceptions. John Elway thrown 14 interceptions his rookie year. Yeah, it does. Yeah, like interceptions don't make or break a quarterback. Because remember, the year Eli Manning, Jalen, and look, you said Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts had one good season, my guy. Like if you weren't saying that in 2021 or 2020, then I don't want to hear that now. Like Jalen Hurts had an amazing season. I need to see Jalen Hurts have another good season. It's consistency that makes a good quarterback. Right? Consistency is what makes a good quarterback. There's been plenty of quarterbacks that had outstanding seasons and didn't do anything else. Right? Matt Schwab had a great season and made a Pro Bowl before. And then when you look, and when you actually look, is a Super Bowl pretty good season? I mean, he lost in the Super Bowl. Nobody actually cares about that. Nobody cares about losing the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm proud of him. He played much better than all his haters said he would play. He's a black quarterback from Houston. So, like I have all the love in the world for Jalen Hurts. But, I'm not the guy that puts guys up here off of one season. He says Hurts is him, pay him $75 million fully guaranteed. So yeah, but yeah, it's not even up for debate that if Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback. Like he's easily a top 10 quarterback. Like that's all. Like you look at everything: completion percentage, passer rating, touchdown interception ratio, wins. Right, he's topping all those things since coming into the league. Game winning drives. Like he got everything you need. The only thing Dak Prescott has not done, right, is win a Super Bowl. Right? That's the only thing that he has not done. How long should Dak Prescott's extension be? Dak Prescott extension is probably going to be an extra 2 to 3 years. He said in the XFL he might be a top 10 quarterback. Well, I know he's better than any quarterback on your roster. So the Texans are out of that race for having a top 10 quarterback. Matter of fact, he's better than every quarterback in your division. Easily. So, I would understand, if you were maybe maybe if you were a Bills fan, or maybe if you were a Chiefs fan, or one of these teams that have a all-pro quarterback. But you don't have a quarterback at all. When y'all played us, y'all played two different quarterbacks. Okay. If you say that, I mean, Davis Mills has not won 61 games or made a Pro Bowl or thrown for 37 touchdowns or thrown for 4,000 yards or any of these other things, but Okay. Who your quarterback better than? Nobody? Oh, okay. Like it's crazy. People that don't have a quarterback be coming in and telling me about my quarterback. He said I blocked Eastside years ago. It's okay. He can troll because trolls do raise. No, they do raise your engagements. So he can keep typing whatever he wants to type as long as he keep typing. So now guys that never played in the league are better. Okay. If you believe that, if you believe that, my guy. I mean, I have to let you get out some steam. You're a Texans fan. You, your season ended a long time ago. Okay. So, any other actual questions? Let's jump into land. Oh yeah. Hey, I had to give a shout out to my boy, landlord from Wakanda over there trapping that vibranium. So please stop with the Dak hating. Yeah, I mean Dak Prescott, the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. He's gonna get hated on for as long as he's in the league. That comes with the territory. I'm fine with other fan bases hating on Dak Prescott. That's what they're supposed to do. My issue is generally with Cowboy fans that dislike Dak Prescott. Like they cheer when the team win, then they try to downplay Dak Prescott role in that. No, the Texans are not going to make the playoffs. I do not believe the Texans are going to make the playoffs. Well, no, no. Jacksonville is going to be even better this year. I think only one team from that division is going to make the playoffs. So with Trevor Lawrence there, I think that they have a real shot of repeating as we frustrated. Yeah, he's supposed to be frustrated, but like you need to have the right amount of frustration. Like I'm old enough to where I have grandchildren. I've seen the Dallas Cowboys win championships. I've seen us rebuild. I've seen us find Tony Romo. I've seen us go 8-8 during the Jason Garrett era. I've seen us do a lot of stuff. I've seen when we lucked into Dak Prescott. So like I feel like I have the right amount of outrage toward Dak Prescott because I don't. I believe that he was drafted by the Texans, so I believe that. Who wouldn't want to be the head coach of the team that they drafted them, right? Yes. Matter of fact, my oldest grandson is finna be 7. I have a grandson that's going to be due any day now because I have I do not think that my son's girlfriend is going to make it that long. She's supposed to be due in March, but she's finna pop. And my daughter is expecting a granddaughter. I love our quarterback, and I know you do too, Big Hen. His stats are very good, even with the interception. So hate on some other QB whose stats ain't close to Dax. Yeah, I mean statistically, like there's nothing to argue about. Like we're talking about all time, we're talking about all time statistics, not like any Rudy Poo things. Like he's top 10 in completion percentage in NFL history, top 10 in passer rating in NFL history, top 10 in touchdown interception ratio in NFL history. So that has to count for something, right? You can say that he has those numbers because of the era that he plays in, right? You can say that he has those numbers because of the era that he plays in. But they all count, for something. Like you could use that argument and say, you know, you can use that argument and discredit any current quarterback, right? Because there are guys playing and putting up numbers back in the 50s and 60s that didn't have the rules that we had, the equipment we had, the strength training, right? Or the guy that played in the 80s. They didn't have the protections or anything like that. So you can use that to discredit every generation. So like as the league continues on, you know, You thought I was in my early 20s. No, no, no. I wish. I wish to be young again. Let's see. But yeah, you can use that argument with anybody, of course. But how many games you expecting the Cowboys to win next year? I have to see the roster. As of right now, I do expect the Dallas Cowboys to win double digit games. Even, you know, with the roster being in flux, we're not going to play a first place schedule this season because we did not win our division. Right? Dak Prescott is a year older, so he should be a year better. Same thing with CD Lamb, right? And odds are we're going to address other positions in the draft and free agency. So and even without adding somebody else new, Michael Gallup should be better. The problem is, Michael Gallup should be better. He's gonna be another year removed from surgery. He should be back closer to the guy that he was. You know what I mean? We should have better depth at wide receiver through this next draft. Maybe Jalen Tolbert takes another step. So our wide receiving core should be better. Our defense should be better because we should have a true number two cornerback. We either we add one through the draft or we add one. Via free agency, but we will probably address the cornerback two position. The problem is that Dak is black. It shouldn't matter what your color is. If you're good, accept it. Dak is good. Yeah, Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. And my thing is I don't think Cowboys fans appreciate our players. I don't think they appreciate our players at all. Because same thing we were talking about with Donald Schultz earlier. Like they told me we shouldn't keep Schultz because he's not Kittle or he's not Kelsey or things like that. Comparison is the thief of joy. When you compare your player to other players, right? As a matter of fact, other players are not even available. You're going to have those thoughts and those issues. Like yes, you're comparing Dak Prescott to the 5 best quarterbacks in the league, so you feel like he's not that guy. But when you look at Dak Prescott, he might be the 6th best quarterback in football. He's in between the 6 to 10 range, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. You can win Super Bowls with that. People discredit Dak Prescott because he isn't the best quarterback in the league, and that's never actually been the requirement for somebody to win the Super Bowl, right? Because Matthew Stafford was not the best quarterback when he made and won a Super Bowl. Eli Manning was not the best quarterback when he made and won a Super Bowl. Right? Like I can go down the list. Like you do not have to be the best quarterback in football to win a championship. And when you really look around the league at the things that matter, like guys who actually won Super Bowls, like a lot of guys have not won Super Bowls since Dak Prescott has been in the league. Tom Brady won a Super Bowl 3 times, right? Patrick Mahomes won a Super Bowl twice. Matthew Stafford won a Super Bowl, and Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. Those were the 7 Super Bowl winners. There's been 3 damn quarterbacks that won Super Bowls, since Dak Prescott has been in the league. Do I think Dak Prescott is a Hall of Famer? No, he is not a Hall of Famer. Not right now. But it's really skewed because Dak Prescott is on pace to throw for I think if he continue playing these full without injury, he's on pace to throw for 60,000 yards. So it's going to be one of those things where his personal accolades at, right? Does Dak Prescott ever win a championship in his time as a Dallas Cowboy? Does he ever win Super Bowl MVP? Does he ever win an MVP? How many more Pro Bowls does he make? Right, so those are things there's a possibility for Dak Prescott to get into the Hall of Fame, but he on his resume right now, hell no, he's not going to make the Hall of Fame. But Dak Prescott hasn't even turned 30 yet. He probably has another 7 years. Quarterbacks are playing to 37, 38 right now. Yeah, not right now. Because look, Dak Prescott has to play. Like making it to the Hall of Fame is hard. Like there are some very very good players that may not make the Hall of Fame. Right, Phillip Rivers, like for instance, like he made like 8 or 9 Pro Bowl selections. Through like he's like threw for like 50,000 yards or something crazy like that. There's a chance that he may not make it to the Hall of Fame. So like Dak Prescott has a lot to do before he can get into the Hall of Fame, man. I'm just being honest. There's not a single guy on the Dallas Cowboys right now outside of Tyron Smith and Zach Martin that are locks for the Hall of Fame, right? But it's hard to get into the Hall of Fame, man. It's real hard to get into the Hall of Fame. Like Dak Prescott will have to have an amazing career, for the next 7 or 8 years to get in, right? So like yeah, like this an opportunity for every player that's still playing to make it to the Hall of Fame, right? Because we don't know what the future may hold. What if Dak Prescott wins a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl MVP next year, or a couple years down the line, and he ends his career with like with like 8 Pro Bowl selections, a Super Bowl MVP, right? Would he make it to in the Hall of Fame then? Maybe, maybe not. But I always say you don't know what the hell a player is going to do down the line. There were many years where people thought that Matthew Stafford would never win a title. Yeah, that's a possibility too. It's a possibility too. Dak Prescott might go to another team and succeed. You never know what the future holds with players. That's why I said not right now, because I can't foresee the future. Like Dak Prescott might not ever amount to anything in the grand scheme. He may not ever win a title. He may not ever make another Pro Bowl. He may not do anything but get more touchdowns and more yards. And with just that, he won't make the Hall of Fame, right? But Dak Prescott gets some personal accomplishments. If he wins the MVP down the line, if he makes an All Pro selection, makes some more Pro Bowls, win a Super Bowl, like I said, like then he has a chance at it. But like we're talking about a man that's 29 years old, and we just seen Tom Brady play till he was 45. So I don't know if Dak Prescott will make the Hall of Fame. Well, stats are actually everything because stats is actually what gets you paid. That's how that's how players on bad teams can get paid. Like the guys on the Texans, they don't win a lot of games, but they have good numbers, right? That what gets guys paid. When you re-up guys from teams that don't have good records or things like that, because Deshaun Watson was one game over 500 when y'all gave him that monster contract. He wasn't winning games. He had one playoff win. Like he got paid off of that. So like that's what the hell is going on. Like players get paid off of their stats. It's not a requirement for them to win a Super Bowl. It can't be a requirement for them to win a Super Bowl because there are like a dozen teams in the NFL that don't even have a damn championship. So how the hell are they gonna put it on like one individual player to go out there and win a title? There are entire franchises that don't have championships, like the Texans. He said that's stuff for fantasy football league. No, statistics are the analytical data, that they keep up with to track what happened during the course of a game. That is what statistics are. It helps people evaluate how a player performed in a game. That is what they were initially made for, and that is their no particular purpose. Right? Statistics is why I know that even though Jimmy Garoppolo, has 4 playoff wins, I also know in those 4 wins he only threw 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. Right? That's how I know stuff like that because they keep track of the stats. That's what stats are for. So yeah, man. Man, I'm talking about the Texans. Like, hey, I'm talking about the Texans. I'm not talking about the Astros who I like, and I'm not talking about the Rockets who I respect. I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan. I respect the hell out of the Rockets. They have not been great, in a while, but I like Houston. I have nothing against the Houston Texans. Yes, I do. I have nothing against the Houston. Rockets, and I have nothing against the Astros. So yeah. But yeah, man, I've been on here about an hour and 9. Eastside Hero. Next time I'm on, tap back in, man. It's always good to have, another fan base in. It's all love. Keep tapping in. We will if we get Victor. Ooh, y'all think y'all can get him? But yeah, man. Hold up. This conversation for next time. Bring the conversation back on next time I jump on. But I appreciate everybody for rocking with me, man. I appreciate the love, the support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, man. We're trying to grow it to 1,000. We're about halfway there. I appreciate everybody for taking the time out their busy schedule to sit here and listen to me ramble on about Dallas Cowboy football and this off-season shenanigans. And, I will be back. So, hey, peace, love, and blessings, y'all. I'm see y'all.